We're sorry, the number you have reached is not in service. Please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording.
Hey everyone, how you doing out there in Final Cut Pro land? So, what's been going on? I'll tell you what's been going on. This is, where in the heck is that? Wait a minute. Turn that off. Here we go. Final Cut TV. And you know my name, right? Everybody knows my name. My name is, I got to do that above that as well. There we go. I'm Richard Taylor. And we've got some, we're going to go over all kind of the latest things with Final Cut Pro, and we're going to have just an open discussion. Hello, Sherry Dyer. Shari Dyer? Sherry? One or the other. So it's February, and there's usually not a lot of activity in February. Typically, there's not a lot, so we'll have to see what's going on. But here's something that I think is going to be happening. I think we're going to be seeing some activity in March and maybe April this year, as far as Final Cut Pro goes. Now, one of the things we're going to go over a little bit is NAB. NAB is happening this year. So far, anyway, in person. I probably will go. Probably. I'm not positive, but I think I will go. This is kind of strange. Let me just do this real quick. Let me see something here. Order width, there we go. I meant to have this in from the beginning, a little bit of a border to distinguish the frame, as you can see. This is all done in Ecamm Live. I use Ecamm Live all the time. Sherry, either way, she says. Where are you from, Shari? I like to know when new people chime in where they're from. We have listeners from all around the world. We got listeners from England, of course, the UK. We got listeners from Australia. We've got from Germany, Africa, South Africa. We got listeners from, of course, the United States and the East Coast and the West Coast. So speaking of the East Coast, I had Sam Messman on a couple months ago. Sam, formerly from LumaForge, and him and Jeffrey Orthwine were here, and they both moved to the East Coast. They're both about 90 minutes from me up in Philadelphia, so we'll have to do a get-together. She says, San Francisco Bay Area. There you go. Hi, Richard. I'm Manish from India. There you go, from India. India is fantastic. I'm amazed at some of the things that are coming out of India as far as television and things. I'm really impressed. Hello from Norway. Absolutely, Norway. This is a worldwide Final Cut Pro community, and we can have the discussion worldwide. So most people that I know of in the Final Cut Pro community, I do more live streams than anybody. I do dozens and hundreds, 100 a year, just about. So I do more than anybody. And I see the different countries that come in here and chime in and have the discussion. Right now, what's going on in February? Do you see anybody doing live streams, weekly or anything about Final Cut Pro? What about January and December? Not too many. So that's what we're going to be doing. We've got some things to talk about. one of the biggest things, let me just see what I got on my schedule here. Do you need that screen on behind you? No, it's just filling in that space. This little space there I wanted to fill in. I don't need it on. Florida Space Coast. Eric Emery, that's where you're from. Florida? I didn't know you were from Florida. How did I not know that? Listen, the older I get, the more I appreciate the weather of Florida. I never thought I would consider moving down there, but I don't like the cold too much anymore. I used to like it a lot. I used to like it a lot. Hi from Bolivia. I just found out Color Finale to work in color correction on Final Cut Pro. That's fantastic. I have one of those plugins, Color Finale something or other. I'm not sure which one I have. I haven't used it for a long, long time. So I've been working in my studio. I've been doing things. I've pushed this back wall back about 18 inches, so it's further behind me. It used to be more forward because I had a bookcase there. I took the bookcase out and then I moved the paneled wall back further. So I have more space. I have a editor that I work with in Washington area, and when he comes up, he'll have more space now. So if you have any Final Cut news or anything, you can go ahead and just put them in the comments and we'll get to them. But for right now, yeah, flat 2 for this wheelchair user. It is flat. I have relatives in Florida, and there's no mountains down there. It's just, it's like very, very flat. But the problem is I don't like hot, humid weather. So the summertime, it's like absolutely killer for me to go down there. I've been down there a couple times in the summer. Of course, I live in air conditioning, both in my vehicle, mainly when I sleep, but even during the day. Like at here, where I live, this is my upstairs office. I have a bigger studio downstairs that I'm probably going to be broadcasting from later this year, probably. But for right now, it's just, I'm sticking with up here. It's easier for me to get live here. So we will be getting a phone call today from you-know-who to talk about what's going on with Final Cut in 2022. That's one of the biggest questions. Now, 2021, what did they do in 2021? They brought out 10.6. Was it 10.6? Yeah. 2020, they brought out 10.5. And in 2021, they brought out 10.6. So what's going to happen in 2022? Logic is already up to 10.7, Logic Pro. That's why I stay on the beach side, cool breezes. There you go. But it's still humid, though, isn't it, down in Florida? I didn't know you were in Florida for some reason. I did not know that. Why didn't I know that? I don't know. I even drink coffee in the afternoon. It is 2:16 here on the East Coast of the USA. So like I said, I'm on the East Coast now. Sam Messman's about 90 minutes from here in New Jersey, although I think he's moving down south, right? Down south somewhere, but it'll still be East Coast. And then Jeffrey Orthwine is also on the East Coast. He's up there in Philadelphia somewhere. I'm not sure. They seem to travel together. They came here together. Yeah, humid for sure. It's the humidity, man. It's just humidity and heat. Don't like it at all. We've had a warm spell the last couple of days, but it was very cold. It was like 16 during the day here in the East Coast. So, and this morning we lost power for about 3 hours, 4 hours. I have a generator I have out in the garage that I hooked up. So I powered that up, tested everything here, tested the GH4 that I'm using for streaming, tested my audio setup that I have. Audio setup is, let's see if I can pull that up. Here we go. pull this out, pull this out, pull this out. Don't need that. Pulling some stuff out of the shot. I got a preview of the shot first. All right, now I'll go to preview mode. So this is my desktop. This is, of course, my 2021 15-inch MacBook Pro, the M1 Max. This thing is absolutely fantastic. Highly, highly recommend this thing. It is expensive. Now, don't get me wrong. I got the everything in this. I got the top of the line everything, except for the hard drive. I got a 4 terabyte. I did not get the 8 terabyte. That thing was $2,000 more or whatever the heck it was. I decided not to do that. So, but this is my audio interface. Apollo Twin X. This thing runs, let me just pull it up and show you what it does. This thing runs plugins, software plugin, emulation plugins in real time. Let me just do this again. Back to live mode. Let me just pull this up. Here we go. So this is my audio interface. This is the plugins that I'm running right now in real time. They are hardware, they are software plugins. However, they are being run by this. This has chips that are dedicated to powering those plugins in real time. That's why I like this interface. It's pretty expensive. It's an Apollo Twin X. Just look it up, United Audio, Apollo Twin X. But I really like it because of the plugins that I have, including when I'm live. I need primarily a good noise gate to cut down when I'm not talking. The noise gate on that is like a hardware noise gate. It's really, really good. And then I use compressors and limiters, and I use a channel strip with tube emulation, which is what I like that a lot. Even with my guitar back here, you can see, this side, over here, this side, you can see it. My 69 Strat back there. And I use that a lot. It's got the latest color finale too. It won't work with Final Cut Pro unless you run it in Rosetta mode. Kind of lame. Will be updated later, I read. Absolutely. So on M1 Mac, I guess it works fine on Intel Macs. Well, I got a question for everybody. Let's start with this question. How many of you are on M1 and how many of you are on Intel? Because I think if we took a poll of the 4+ million Final Cut Pro users, I think the majority would still be on Intel. That's just my guess. I don't think they've sold as many M1 machines as they have over the 10 years prior selling Intel machines. I still have a Mac Pro over here, my Mac Pro. So let me just see if I can pick that up. Which one is that? Which one is that? Page me, video, countdown, grade, overhead, graphics, web page me. What did I do? Countdown. I don't want that. Oh, here it is. Huh. I'm just looking for something. Let me pull this up. I'm going to take over here a second. Let me see if this is, oh, look at that, it's gone. No wonder I can't do that. Okay, forget it. Forget I even said anything. I was going to show you my, is that even turned on? Maybe that's the problem. Oh, it turned itself off. I have another camera. So Daniel Suzuki says Intel. Sherry says Intel. M1 Mac, Intel iMac. 27-inch iMac. So that's an Intel. M1 MacBook Pro and Intel iMac Pro, or Mac Pro, iMac Pro. M1 Max. 27 inches iMac 2020 model. See, most of you, even in this audience, is still on Intel. So they're going to be another year or two. They're going to be supporting Intel machines. On Final Cut, the OS we know is going to run for another 2 years. Hello from Norway, Richard. How you doing, Terj? Glad you could join us today. What time is it over there in Norway? I'm not even familiar. I know it's Europe, somewhere in that vicinity. Oh, there we go. Now it's back. 27-inch iMac 5K Intel. So the majority of people are still on Intels, even though the MacBook Pro is selling really well. Even though it's selling really well, it's still the majority of people Intel. That's the way it's going to be. So let me just do this real quick. So I got the camera back. Let me pull this over here. This is, let me just pull this up. Don't want that. Let me pull that up. This is my trusty old Mac Pro that's sitting in my studio. It's been here for quite a while. But I haven't used it much since I got my MacBook Pro. So I think that the Mac Pro is going to be going somewhere. I think I'm going to sell it. Hope they drop an M series iMac Pro in March. I think they will. I think they absolutely will be doing that. Everybody's saying that's what's going to be happening, so we'll have to see, but that's what I believe is going to be happening. Back to live mode. There we go. So what do you think is going to be happening with Final Cut Pro in 2022? I guess that's my question. Are we going to go to 10.7? They went, 2020 was 10.5, 2021 was 10.6. Not much happening between those two numbers. 10.6, we got a couple of little things, one big thing and a couple of things, but that's all we've seen so far, so not much. Are they just going to go to 10.7? Is this the new Final Cut Pro team approach? They're just going to give us a couple of updates between full numbers. What do you think? I don't know. I hope not. I hope they give us a full update that we've been waiting for. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm telling you, this is my suspicion. March, April are going to be the 2 months to watch out for as far as Final Cut Pro updates. So 2022 March, 2022 April. And the reason I'm saying April is because of NAB coming up. Even if Apple's not going to be there, they put out ProRes RAW around NAB before, launched it. New Final Cut Pro in 2022 to fall integrates some of the new features in the iPhone 14. Yeah, there'll be one perhaps then too, but we're not going to wait till then, are we? That would be a full year between any kind of a update. A full update would probably be in M1 forcing us to upgrade. No, I don't think so. No. I'll tell you why. Too many people are on Intel. Studios and stuff, they're on Intel. They bought the Mac Pro a couple years ago. They're not going to force us to update to M1 I would say that's probably 2 or 3 years off before that's going to be happening, because the OS has to be M1 only. That's not happening this year. It's still going to be Intel in M1. And then the applications. So now here's the thing. There may be some features that are going to be M1 only. Yes, that's a possibility. But not just the update is not going to, they're not going to say, hey, everybody's got to jump on M1s or you're not going to use Final Cut Pro anymore. Or you're not going to use the new version of Final Cut Pro. I can't see that happening at all. That is not going to happen. The subscription model is also not going to happen. I doubt that is going to happen. The iPad version of Final Cut Pro, what do you think about that? The iPad version. I say people talk about that all the time. Well, you already got LumaFusion. LumaFusion is a fantastic NLE on the iPad, and you can export your LumaFusion project right to Final Cut with the, they have a Final Cut FCP XML export option add-on. So you can do that. All righty, let me see what we got here. Taking that off. So here's one of the things, just these are a couple of little small things that I'm going to talk about. I complained about when Rode came out with their Wireless Go 2, they did not include a cable like this for their iPhone. This is USB-C to Lightning. They charged $27, $28, $29 for that cable. I refused to buy one. I did not buy one. So I did buy the AI Micro, this Rode AI Micro. The Rode AI Micro has all of the cables. It has USB to USB. It has USB to Lightning. It has USB-C to USB-C. They have all the cables. This cable works with the Rode Wireless Go. You don't have to spend $29 or $27, whatever it is, for this special, the SC15 cable. The cable, if you have the Rode AI Micro, this cable works with your Rode Wireless Go perfectly. Perfectly. So, just thought I'd tell you about that. I haven't quite trusted Apple since they blew the upgrade from Final Cut Pro to Final Cut 7 to 10. What a disaster that was. But that was almost 12 years ago. That was almost 12 years ago. Nobody thinks that that was a successful transition. No, it was not, obviously. But that was 12 years ago. A lot has changed. Look at Final Cut Pro when it came out at 1.0. Look at it now with 10.6.1. It's a lot different. A lot of things have changed. They've slowed down in their development of Final Cut Pro. At this point, it's pretty slow. The development cycle for the last 3 years have been slow, and I know all the excuses. I have the book of excuses right here. Why it's been that way. I don't want to. I know what they are, so you don't have to recite them to me. They can at any point surprise all of us. Okay, they could come out with a brand new version of Final Cut. 2022, we're going to see something. I'm saying pay attention to March and April for a nice update, whether that's, some features that have been missing. I have boxes of cables. Yes, I do, and I'm getting rid of them. I got tired of keeping these boxes around. I've been organizing my place all winter. I know Final Cut Pro is great now, but I don't like the attitude that generated that change. It wasn't an attitude, was it? Do you think all of Apple voted on it and just did it that way? No, it was probably marketing. It was probably marketing. Remember, Steve Jobs was alive then. Steve Jobs was alive when Final Cut Pro 10.10 was released, when it came out. He was not in good health, but he was alive. So I don't think you blame the entire company Apple for that. But anyway, we've all heard that before. If you want to see what's going on with Final Cut Pro, the transition, watch the documentary Off the Tracks. I co-edited that with Brad Olson, who's the producer. I hope they combine Final Cut Pro Motion and Compressor into one app. Most people seem to not know about them. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm sure they could do it well. Hello again from Comex, our friend Roz. The Final Cut Pro 7 to 10 transition was kind of like the Afghanistan pullout, bound to be a painful mess. I don't think those two things are comparable. One of those is dealing with people's lives, and the other one's just dealing with software. But anyway, no, it didn't have to be that way. And I tell you how, everybody knows what they should have done. Now, in hindsight, they know what they should have done. But even during that transition period, I said, overlap Final Cut 7 and overlap Final Cut Pro 10 by a year. Don't just cut off Final Cut Pro 7 the same day you release Final Cut Pro 10. I mean, everybody knows that now. But I even said, because I was working in a support company out of Baltimore that supported Final Cut Pro systems. We used to install them and support them. I even said, give us whatever Final Cut Pro 7 updates you have lying around in the lab. Give us 7.4, 0.4, 7.0.5, 7.1. Whatever you developed in the lab that you still have, give us that. Announce that there's going to be no more Final Cut Pro 7 in 1 year. And hey, here's this brand new app for the time being called Final Cut Pro 10. And the other thing is, if you translated Final Cut Pro 7 into Final Cut Pro 10 projects, that would have been a big help as well. That would have been a big help as well. Let me pull this preview mode. Let me do that. Checking that out. Publish. There we go. That looks good. Back to live mode. So that was one of the things that I was discussing. So something else here. Let me see what else I have. There's something else that I wanted to. Here we go. So I enjoy working Final Cut Pro, but I have one issue. I always found we get limited transition generators. I found Final Cut Pro is better than the previous version. Yes, there's things in Final Cut 7 that I wish we had in Final Cut 10, but we'll see how that goes. One of the things I wanted to mention today, let me pull this up. Preview mode, video. So we've had a lot of, it's pretty windy out here today. This is the backyard cam. Birds have been coming. We've had a lot of starlings recently. It's a little bit choppy because the wind, I'm not sure. The wind took out the electricity this morning. There we go. There's some starlings. Oh, a bunch of them. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. We have a suet that the birds like. What was I going to talk about? Here's what I was going to talk about. This is the new GH6. Somebody leaked it online, a Japanese, I believe, the new GH6. The interesting thing is, according to these leaked documents, this guy leaked it out. According to these leaked documents, this thing now records ProRes RAW internally. The GH6 is going to be announced next week, probably going to be on sale. The GH6 records ProRes RAW internally. That is a really, really interesting thing that's going on there. Let me pull this up. I don't think you saw this last time. I didn't think I put it on. So we have starlings at the bird feeder. They like to suet. We have suet we feed the birds. And the starlings are very aggressive. Limited transitions. Well, there's so many people that make transitions and generators and things for Final Cut Pro. It's such a big ecosystem that the ones that of all the things that Final Cut Pro I think it needs, I'm not worried too much about titles. Yes, do titles, generators, transitions, do nice stock ones, but I'd rather have the nuts and bolts of editing video taken care of. The nuts and bolts, things we haven't had for years that we've been asking for. Final Cut Pro team knows about it. Things like dupe detection. How many people have asked for that? It's not one of my top 5, but people have asked for it. B-RAW support, Blackmagic RAW support. So nuts and bolts of video editing, I'd like to see that a lot. We need more cams that record ProRes RAW internally. Good. And it's not ProRes RAW, ProRes. Did I say ProRes RAW? I didn't mean ProRes RAW. ProRes, it records ProRes. About the RAW internal, how is that possible, thinking about red patent? If I said ProRes RAW, I was mistaken. ProRes, not ProRes RAW. I always say the two, ProRes RAW. No, if I said that, that's a mistake. ProRes, we haven't seen anything about ProRes RAW. But recording ProRes internally is impressive because up to this point, they've only done MP4s, .movs and .mp4s. Yeah, sorry. Didn't realize I even said that till you guys started commenting on it. But yeah, the GH6, let me pull this up again. This thing, this is coming out. The Panasonic has announced they're going to debut it next week. It's 8 o'clock Eastern time. This thing looks gorgeous. Now, I have a GH4 and I have a GH5, and I will be looking at the GH6. However, one of the biggest things that I'm going to be needing is low light performance. It's got to be a lot better than the GH5 because when I go shooting bands in clubs, a lot of times the light's not that great. So that's one of the main things I'm looking for this time around. I've heard that if you have, there's an attachment, an XLR attachment you can attach to the top of the camera that bypasses the crappy little preamps that they have with the 1/8 inch jack. It connects electronically with a not a cold shoe but a hot shoe, and it brings audio in. I use it when I do live streaming with mixing. It takes mixing boards and it takes microphones both. So it takes line level and mic level, but it's all XLR. I've heard that it now records 24-bit with that attachment, so we'll see if that's true. Most of the things that I've seen look pretty like they're probably going to be true. So let me see what else we have here. So there's a couple of other things. Let me just pull these up. Pull these up. Well, for one thing, well, let me just do this. Let's do this first. NAB. NAB is, at this point, it's still happening. Now, what's interesting is, if you see this, this is the South Hall here. They used to be occupying the South Hall, upper and lower hall. They're not doing that this time. They're not doing the South Hall, upper and lower. They're doing the Central Hall, North Hall and Central Lobby, North Hall meeting rooms, and this is brand new. The West Hall is brand new. There you can see it's connected over top of the monorail with some kind of a walkway. But the West Hall is brand new. So that's one of the things that are very interesting. They're not doing South Hall. So the monorail's right here. It drops off. Everybody used to go into South Hall. That's where they'd start. Black Magic is going to be there this year so far. As long as things continually get better. Black Magic has talked about being there. I mean, they're scheduled. They're listed as being there. Black Magic, Panasonic, Sony, Grass Valley. Avid said they're not doing anything in 2022. Avid's not been, their return on investment for these kind of things has probably not been that great, but I can't imagine any company looking at making a return on investment. They cost so much money, tens of thousands of dollars to exhibit at NAB. I can't imagine anybody, it's really, financially, it's very, very costly. So I don't think anybody really does it to make money around NAB. They're looking for future sales and to meet people and stuff. So let me see here. So Final Cut Pro, what's going to happen? What do you think is going to be happening in 2022? What do you think is going to be happening? Here is Final Cut Pro training resources. Final Cut Pro training resources. Visit the resources page. Learn more about Final Cut Pro website. Peach Pick. I don't understand this. Peach Pit Apple training series is Final Cut Pro 10.4. So I don't understand why they're promoting a book that's like 3 years old. Same with the classes. They have these classes that they were supposed to stop in 2020, and they didn't do that. Let me see if this is still the same. This is, I think it is. Let me just check this. Yeah, still the same. This is old stuff. I'm not sure why they are promoting this, something that's 4 years old, but they are, for some odd reason. But we know about, let me see if I can find this. I bookmarked this. Let me see. Monty Pro. Huh. I bookmarked it, and then I somehow deleted it. Let's see if I can. All righty. I am looking for specific website having to do with Final Cut Pro training and certification. So Final Cut has teamed up with Future Media Concepts, FMC, to do training, and I never can find, let me look it up. Let me look up history here a second. Ecamm. Earlier today, let me see. Here we go. All right, let me pull this up. Copy and paste. Here we go. This is the new training for Final Cut Pro. The new Apple Pro video training and certifications. They've actually brought back certification for Final Cut Pro. So that's going to be interesting. This is with FMC, and they have FCP Certified Social Pro, FCP Certified Video Pro, FCP Certified Post-Production Pro. So if you're interested in any of those, it's FMC. Let me copy that. Let me pull that out. Copy. I'll put it up online so you can see it if you want. Here we go. This is the address, fmctrainingnetwork.com/apple/updates. That's where it is. That's the training. Now, from what I understand, it said it's going to be in the first quarter of 2022. They're going to start this program. So after all these years, I wonder why. I wonder why the first quarter is the time they're going to start it. I'm glad they are, absolutely glad, and I'll probably be involved with promoting it and stuff. Larry Jordan gives excellent tutorials. Yes, he does. He does a lot of nice tutorials, absolutely. So, how many of you, tell me something, how many of you still do FireWire? Anybody? Does anybody do FireWire? Mini DV tapes, for example. I still do. So I did this tutorial. Let me just turn that off. And I figured out how to get mini DVs into Final Cut. You need two adapters, and I use a cable, 800 to 400 cable, plug it in my MacBook Pro. But there's a problem. I use a Canon camera. There's a problem with Final Cut Pro. There's a problem with getting audio into Final Cut via FireWire. I could not get it to capture audio reliably. It's hit or miss, but I got QuickTime of all things to do it. So if you want to find out my workflow for that, go to my YouTube channel. Ripple Training also put out a brand new Final Cut Pro 10.6 core training a few weeks ago. So there's not a lot that's changed between 10.4 and 10.6. there's only been a few features, a few changes, maybe half a dozen or less in 3 years. They haven't changed that much between 10.4 and 10.6. So if you have the 10.4 training, they probably give you some kind of a discount, I would imagine, to get up to 10.6. It's new stuff. It's new stuff, and I always like Ripple training stuff. Eric says no FireWire. I don't use FireWire, but I have literally hundreds of tapes, and I was doing something. What was I doing the other day? And I wanted to capture something that I had on one of those old tapes. I said, let me just see if this works in Final Cut. I do when accessing old drives or mini DV tapes. Right, mini DV, exactly. Roz says never have. I do when importing older tapes. So watch the tutorial all day long. FireWire QuickTime 10. Yes, that's what I've discovered. But even with QuickTime 10, I have problems getting the audio. You have to be careful. When you're capturing, if your Mac is not playing the audio, you're not capturing the audio. Even though the QuickTime player is showing audio registering on the meters, if you don't hear it, you're not capturing it. That's what I found out. Final Cut Pro is very unreliable capturing audio. It doesn't make any difference. It's old technology, but I was interested in learning how to do that, so I did that. No FireWire, okay. But most of us are on Intel. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my Mac Pro yet. I don't know. I didn't use it as much as I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to be getting PCIe cards and stuff, but I never ended up doing. I ended up not doing that. Now I just do my MacBook Pro. So. This is my desktop. This is my coffee. This is my drink, my audio interface, my M1 Max. I got 64 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes GPU, and I got the 4 terabyte hard drive. I didn't need the 8 terabyte. I have multiple RAIDs. Multiple RAIDs. Let's see what else is going on here. I just want to go over a few things, a few more things. That's that. Let me pull a couple more things. Yeah, we can do this. Let me pull this up.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to do something a little bit different. A few days ago,
so let me cancel. So Steve Martin put out a Ripple training. He put out the new 10.6 series. Let me pull this up. But he also put out a almost, is it an hour? Is that what it is? I think it is. Put out a 1 hour training session on YouTube. It's almost an hour, 53, is it an hour? Yeah, I think it's like 53, 54 minutes. So if you go to this YouTube channel, you can see that, and they have the new training there, which I always liked. I always enjoy their training. I have a lot of their plugins and stuff too. Although recently what have I been getting? I've been getting another plugin from, I forget what company it is. Premium VFX. I've been buying their plugins recently. I like it when manufacturers bring out plugins and then they have a special for like the first week or so. So what did I get recently? Let me just see. Installed. What did I get? Oh, here it is. Yeah. So let me just show you one thing that one of the things that I was talking about when over the Christmas holidays, some of the favorite plugins. See this little double arrow up here? This is a plugin called Vinegar. And not only does it let you, it bypasses YouTube's advertising, is one of the things it does. It's like it's on the App Store. It's called Vinegar. It's a plugin for It's a plugin for Safari. It only works on Safari, but it also works on your iPad and also works on your iPhone if you got that. But anyway, this is the plugin that I got recently. Premium VFX. I really like it. It's only $29 if you buy it now. Let me see, where is that? There we go. So it's $29. Info bar revealers. This is the one that I bought. It's, $29. I normally $49. Does it say it's on? I think it does. Yeah. Info bar revealers. Yep. There it is. So I bought that one recently. I bought a couple of theirs. Do you have favorite plugins that you like? I know Premium VFX is one. That's the FX Factory, and then there's Motion VFX, and then there's Ripple Training that has them. A bunch of companies have them. I buy a lot of title ones if I see good titles. One of the other issues, let me go back to one of the other, so that's the GH6. One of the other things that have happened, oh, look at this. So Davinci Resolve 17, Introduction to Fusion, and look who is teaching. Does that guy look familiar? That's Tony Gallardo from Texas. He's been on the show many times. He is teaching Fusion, the Fusion course for Blackmagic. So that's pretty cool. What else do we have here? One of the other things, I wasn't going to do this tutorial, but I keep seeing the question asked. Why is my footage so blown out, my iPhone HDR footage so blown out in Final Cut Pro? Well, we know the reason if you've been following the situation. So I put up a 2-minute tutorial to tell you how to take care of that. And plus at the end, I do something that I don't think anybody else has done. You can apply it to a adjustment layer if you want to affect all the clips, et cetera, et cetera. That's on my YouTube channel. I have a couple of other things that I've done there. But this was interesting. So I found this on Facebook this last week, and I was shocked. The full concert of the Beatles' first appearance in the United States. It was in Washington, D.C. The very first time they played live was in Washington, D.C. at a concert, and I found the entire concert, it's like 38 minutes, which is incredible. I've seen short films of it before, but this was the actual entire concert. I was really pleasantly surprised. So they took it down, by the way. Eric says, M Film Looks from Motion VFX is good. I think I have one of their plugins. I think that might be the one I have. Gotta go. Enjoyed your sessions. Thanks. Thank you for stopping by. I found that a lot of plugins really slowed down my system. You must have an older computer probably. And the other thing is just don't use a lot of them. If you don't use them in your timeline, they don't bog your system down. Just having them, in Final Cut, it doesn't bog your system down. I found a bug with plugins the other day. I was doing, let me see if I can pull that up. I was doing, let me see, videos. Yeah. So this was a weird one, but it's definitely one that, I'm not sure what the heck's going on here. But what it is I put these rectangles on the tutorial right there. You can see where they're going. They're going there, and then they're going below that. That's what they show in Final Cut on the timeline. They're there. In the preview window, when you share window, same thing. Preview window, let me pull that up. In the preview window, I'm not sure if you knew that, but Final Cut you can preview a project in the share window. So there, it's there, rectangles in the right place, preview and share window. When it rendered out, they were completely, look where they are. They were completely misaligned. They weren't where they were supposed to be. Showed in the timeline correctly, the share menu was correct, but the rendered file was completely out of location, was not anywhere close to where it's supposed to be. Well, it was close, but it wasn't. I don't know what was that. Was that the plugin? I don't know. Something wrong in Final Cut? Don't know. Could be either way. So anyway, I have over there my YouTube channel. Let me just pull this up. Customizations. I have a new series that I've been doing called One More Thing. Let me not just see if my playlist is over there. View my channel. Final Cut Fridays. Streams. Somewhere. Here it is, right here. So I have, over my YouTube channel, I have a new series, One More Thing. What I try to do is single subjects, direct to the point. Single subjects, direct to the point. Most of the videos are 2 to 3 minutes. Some of them might get to be 4. I don't just do the one subject, but mainly I'm concentrating on the one subject, direct to the point, and they're searchable by the title. These are all the ones over here that are available at this point. Some of them have tens of thousands of views. So this one was interesting. Look at this one. It's got 27,000 views. Guidelines in Final Cut Pro. It's got 27,000 views. And another one that was popular was this one of the ones? Yeah, this one's got 11,000 views. So they're doing okay. They're doing all right. I enjoy doing them. They take a few hours to do, as anybody that's done tutorials know. So while everybody's here, let me just pull this up. Hello. Yes, this is Richard. We are live on the air. Yes, we are. So I have a question. For you. First off, thanks for calling in. I won't say who it is. All right. I will not say who it is. But so what can we expect for Final Cut Pro in 2022? March and April. That's what I said, March and April. and also something around WWDC. There's going to be an announcement around WWDC. Can I guess what it is? I'm going to guess. You don't have to say yes or no, but I'm going to guess. What about Final Cut Pro and the iPad? That's interesting. Very interesting. So when can we expect, are you going to be, is Apple going to be at NAB this year? Are they going to do anything with Final Cut Pro at NAB? There might be an announcement around NAB, but Apple's probably not going to be there. Well, that's certainly interesting. Okay, well, let me, can I talk to Tim Cook, please? I guess not. I guess I can't. I was going to ask him about Final Cut Pro, but I guess that didn't work out. Hung up on me. Anyway, everyone, I think we're going to be getting out of here for today. It's Friday, right? Friday, the February the 18th. We had Valentine's Day here in the United States. Monday is President's Day. And I'm not sure if anybody celebrates that anymore, but things seem to be getting better, I guess, except some places. There's always trouble somewhere, right? Seems like. But anyway, I'm just saying March, look out for March and April for perhaps a next update to Final Cut and maybe something even more than just a 1 or 2 feature update. Do you expect Final Cut to not have as many features as they've done in the past with these updates? Well, do you expect it, and then are you satisfied with it? So, do I expect it? It's become the normal thing. Am I satisfied with it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not sure why it takes 3 years to put out a few updates, but if that's what it is, that's what it is. I took some Blackmagic Resolve classes, and I like it, and I like LumaFusion. If I get an iPad Pro, it'll be specifically for LumaFusion. I really like LumaFusion. I like Blackmagic Resolve too. If I wasn't using Final Cut, the thing with Final Cut is I'm so comfortable with it at this point. After using it for 11 years, 12 years, I know the ins and outs of it. I'm an Apple certified Final Cut Pro trainer. I know it very well. So it's what I always go to when I'm doing an edit. No big update, but bigger than the last few. So what do you mean by no big update? Bigger than the last few. The last few were not too much. I mean, they're nice, but they're kind of like in between updates, right? But so would you like to see a nice big update? Have the Final Cut Pro team surprise us? That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Final Cut Pro team surprise us and come up with a nice big update with a lot of the features that we've been missing for years. It's a little bit, it's like when you go to put on a pair of shoes. You have a brand new pair of shoes there that are brand new, and you have your old pair of shoes that are very comfortable, and they're broken in, and they got a few problems. They got a hole in the sole, one point, maybe one of the shoelaces are broken or not working. But when you see the new shoes and you see the old worn shoes, you always go for the old worn shoes because they're so comfortable. You're so used to it. You're used to the way things are done. And Final Cut has some nice features. It certainly is my preferred editor, absolutely. But there's so many things that they could improve with Final Cut. It's easier to get lost in Resolve. It absolutely is. Resolve is very complex, but that doesn't bother me. As a professional, it doesn't bother me. If I wanted to learn Resolve to that extent, I would learn it. Logic Pro is very complicated. Logic Pro is. I don't know the MIDI side of things. I don't know the samplers and all that. I just know the audio side. I know how to record. I know how to multi-track. I know how to mix down. I know how to use plugins. But it's also very complicated. That's fine. Just more of the same, just a little more. 4 new features instead of 2. Okay. I would be satisfied. You know, here's the thing. So we had 10.0. We had 10.1. 10.0 to 10.1, there was 9 updates between 10.0 and 10.1. 9 updates. 10.1 to 10.2, lots of updates. 10.3 to 10.4, 10.2 to 10.3, 10.3 to 10.4. Every one of those transitions were lots, dozens and dozens and dozens of features and things. And then we get to 10.5. And it was like, what is this? It's just like for the M1 Mac. That's the big thing. And a couple of little tweaks. And then all of a sudden 10.6 is here. And 10.6 had 2 features. One's a big one, the tracking. I know that was a lot of work to get that done. But the other one, you need an iPhone 14 for. iPhone 13 for. So I'm not sure that doesn't affect some of the Final Cut Pro editors in any event. So if they just jump to 10.7, it's like they're not even paying attention to full number updates anymore, which is fine. My expectations have been tempered because of the way it's been the last 3 years have been. It's been tempered. I'm not looking for Christmas, but if Christmas sneaks up on me, that's fine. If the Final Cut Pro team and Christmas sneak up on me, that's completely fine. But anyway, isn't that a maturity evolution? Fewer big changes as the app ages? I don't think so. What is the team doing? If they're just going to slow down to a crawl and do nothing, why even have a team? Just let it go into, if you're going to let it go into the sunset, whatever. There's so many things that Final Cut needs, could improve. Movable markers, colored markers, draggable markers. The project, you can't scrub a project in the browser. 11 years and you can't scrub a project in the browser. Would that be beneficial? Of course it would. There's so many things. Dupe detection, of course. Everybody had dupe detection. B-raw. Where's the B-raw support? You know, there's a lot of things. It's got a lot of holes in it, but even with those holes, it's still my favorite editor. I like it. I've been doing it for 11 years, 12 years. So, if they're going to maturity evolution, they're going to slow down to a crawl. They're going to say, "Yeah, we did our best work in the past. We're not going to do any more." I don't believe that at all. Maybe they're making a brand new version of it. If I thought this was going to be the end of Final Cut, it's like, man. Come on. Everybody at Blackmagic is running circles around you. I don't believe that. I think they're working on something. The pace of when we get it, that's what will be interesting. At this point, I'm not expecting a lot, but please, surprise me, please. That'll be fine. That'll absolutely be fine. So Eric says, in that maturity evolution, fewer big changes as the app ages. There's so much that it needs. I mean, there's so many things that they could improve on. They just got to figure out how to do it. So, but anyway, I still, obviously, I'm doing this, right? I'm doing this. Final Cut TV. I do Final Cut Pro Radio. I've had that going for, I have had that podcast going for 6-7 years. I think 7 years, started 7 years in January. And I have 2 podcasts. That's one of them. I started podcasting 6 months after Adam Curry started his podcast, Daily Source Code. He started in the fall or August, I think, and I started in February, March, the following February, March with my first podcast. And I've been featured on Apple's iTunes store before, top podcast of the year, that kind of stuff. And we're going on 1.3 million podcast downloads, something like that. And it's actually more than that, but I switched over to Libsyn, and Libsyn's doing the counting now. But prior to that, I had tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of ones that Libsyn doesn't count because they just count from when they started. I don't know what they do. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Final Cut TV, of course, you know where you can, probably most of you are working off this one, youtube.com, Richard Taylor TV. And that's where you can keep up with all of the latest things that are happening in Final Cut. Whenever they release an update, I will come on live within a couple hours just to have the community so you guys can get together and chat about it, make comments, etc., etc. Right? All right, I'm going to get out of here for today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate it. And stay tuned for more One More Things. Of course, that's a Steve Jobs quote. One More Things. One More Thing. But that's the name of my series. I got it from Steve Jobs.